Yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm in agreement. There's no need for any more of this marching shit. These people can only understand one thing, and that is violence. They're violent people, so therefore all they understand is violence. Think about it. In Washington, D.C., when the shooter came and shot up the Republicans on the baseball field, Republicans were then immediately talking about, you know what, that rhetoric is too heated. It's too hot. We need to change how we're speaking to each other. We need to come together. Never gave a shit until they were shot the fuck up. So I'm in agreement. There's no need to march anymore. It's time to survive. Oh yeah, they're gonna be wishing black people would march again. Say, why aren't you black people marching? Because we shooting. Why don't y'all march again? Peaceful marches. No. We good at shooting. Should be our answer every time. No. Y'all didn't like it when we marched. Y'all didn't like it when we asked you peacefully to stop murdering us. So now we just learned how to shoot like you. Now we learned how to be judges, jury, and executioner. And to let our own people go, like you. And to the garbage racist who's gonna post on my page, because I know you're already typing. You're like, whoa, you take your life into your own hands. When you do that, take your life into your own hands. And all I have to say is, if you're so concerned, why don't you stand in front of the cops and take your life into your own hands? As you can see in Washington, folks getting kind of tired of your antics. It's just not us anymore. It's hard to see it coming when you can't racially profile it, ain't it?
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
You are watching the Calvary. Yeah, in light of these crazy ass racist verdicts when it comes to these racist garbage cops. Now you see why at the end of my video I put what I put. As black people, you have no choice. We have no choice but to shoot. See, what they want you to do is be pulled over and go quietly to your death. Now, in the choice of going quietly to your death, if you know you're going to die, and if you have a weapon, my suggestion would be to fight. Shoot immediately. They're not giving you any options. And always remember, and I can always say this as many times as possible, and why Barack Obama defenders do not post on my page. Always remember that Barack Obama called garbage racist police. In his mind, this is what he lent to you. This is what he gave to you. This is his best for you, black community. He called the cops that are murdering you brave and blue. That's the best he could do. For you. For us. I hate his ass. And when these racist garbage cops, and the video has found them guilty, but their courts and themselves say, oh no, they're letting them go. So why hasn't it clicked in your head to stop playing games with these people. You got to do what you got to do to survive. I'll say it again so you can understand. Don't listen to your mama. She's stupid. Don't listen to your old defeated daddy. He's stupid. Your mama was defeated a long time ago, and so was he. Both of them dumb. The fight was beat out of them a long time ago. In order for you to bring up your children, to bring up your offspring, the ones who will take over your estate, no matter how big or small, you have to survive, and so do they. You have to survive so they will be able to survive. Y'all need to stop telling on each other as well. Now, I saw a lot of different videos, man. And I even saw the video that Phil made about this young lady whose kids were being harassed by local street thugs. And the question was, where are these boys coming from? These boys. And I can tell you, they coming from the same woman who's complaining to white baby daddy back up. They coming from her and women like her. See, they ain't producing with quality guys. And then I know Phil wants to be angry right now. Like, hey man, you're being wrong to that mother. And I'm going to tell you, there's something wrong with that story. Not the way you told it, but just the story itself. She had a problem with local thugs. She said she was scared. She called the police. My question to the black community is, if you are scared and you are scared of the local thugs, why are you sitting outside chilling to get shot if you're scared? See, that's what I call black woman entitlement. To where you think that not only can you be outraged, and outraged at a group of people that you know are out of their freaking mind, but you actually think that you can call them peoples on them and be able to sit outside and not have nothing to worry about. I'm just trying to point out that there's something wrong there. Now, were those criminals wrong? Those murderers wrong? Yes, they were. But at the same time, Phil, and anybody else in the black community, especially the self-righteous ones, I want you to consider this. And it's not hard to intake, but I want you to consider the climate in which we live, in which we all know that police murder black people on sight as soon as they show up. What exactly did she think? What type of message she was sending to those street criminals? Now, y'all may want to say who's lame and who isn't, who's street and who ain't. But let me give you some street without hurting your feelings. I'm going to do this with a question. What do you think happens when your random black ass walks up to a group of street criminals and threaten them with death? What do you think's going to happen? If you can answer that correctly, you can understand why I find that story rather peculiar and what I mean by black woman entitlement. Yes, they were. But the problem I'm having is that we have two sets of people who ain't thinking properly. We got them ladies and we got them thugs. And then we got another set of thugs called the police. Now, most likely, when those guys are caught, they're going to go to jail for murder. But then look over there at them police. They're making the same maneuver. Even with less reasoning, zero intent from the person that they're shooting. These victims, these black victims, these black bodies are completely innocent. Think about that. People get confused. They pulled over Philando Castile. They didn't pull him over, they pulled his girlfriend over. The assumption is that he's a black man, so they pulled him over. No, they pulled his girlfriend over. And that piece of cop garbage shot an upstanding black man. So that means every last one of us are in danger. No matter how much money you make, no matter where you live, because Minnesota's supposed to be a nice place, right? No matter how much money you make, no matter where you live, no matter if you're dark skinned, light skinned, it don't matter. Who your parents are, don't matter. This is about survival. You have to survive now. The police have given you proper information. The government has given you proper information. The courts have given you proper information. Clear directive. You have to survive. We're going to do whatever we want to do to you. So you can either take it as, well, they're going to do what they want to do to us. Or you can take it as this. No, you have to survive. Sometimes you have to kill to survive. Here, I'll give you a small story. A rabid raccoon. A rabid raccoon, yeah. Chicken's just walking. Ain't bothering nothing, nobody. It's a real story. Rabid raccoon. Raccoon ain't got any rational thought. It's rabid now. That's what the cops are. Rabid. They rabid raccoons. The government, they rabid raccoons. They don't know what they're doing anymore. So the rabid raccoon, foaming at the mouth, attacks the woman. Now she has two choices. Go quietly by raccoon and be a rabid fool by the next week, or she has to kill the raccoon. She has no gun, she has no knife, but she has a small puddle. So she strangles the raccoon and drowns it in a small puddle to death. Now, I know she ain't completely sane after having to do this to a small animal. Maybe it's been an animal lover. But you gotta do what you gotta do. The raccoon sent her a foamy message plus claws and teeth and a growl saying, I am going to kill you, and you have to change your mind. You've been indoctrinated. You've been confused like some of them little black kids. I don't know why these black mothers be letting their children feel all in love with cops and want to give them cops hugs and shit. Some feel-good story about giving cops hugs. These are straight murderers. That you need to stop your children from doing something so stupid. I know you stupid, but you got to stop your children. Just try to be smart for a day. And stop your kids from doing something so stupid, because she's always, and he's always going to remember back to when they were hugging cops after a cop shot their best friend for no fucking reason. And he's going to be looking at you like, why the hell did you have me out there hugging cops? Well, you knew better to have me out there hugging cops. Fucking murderers. For me, also, it's the oddest thing. This is Bill Cosby situation. And I want to ask those brothers like Tariq Nasheed, who's friends with Boyce Watkins, who's connected to Yvette and Irami. Now, Tariq's in an interracial relationship like me. So I feel I can ask him this question. I mean, his wife has a white sibling. My wife has a white sibling. So, hey, there you go. Interracial relationship. But can y'all sort some shit out for me and the rest of us? No. For real. Sort some shit out for me and the rest of us. Tariq Nasheed, you talk about code. We got to have a code. And we can't be going against other black people because of a code. And I'm looking at these videos by Boyce Watkins, who's a friend of yours, right? That's what you say. He's a friend of yours, you know. It's a cool dude, all this other shit. My question is why is it okay for this dude, this, you know, he's a doctor or whatever, he got a white supremacy degree, whatever, for this guy to straddle the fence so hard, but mainly not even straddle it hard. He literally thinks that Bill Cosby's guilty with that flimsy evidence. But I don't think he should go to jail, but I think he's guilty. But I don't think he should go to jail, but I think he raped somebody. I don't think he should go to jail, but yeah, he did it. I don't think he should go to jail, but yeah, he touched some women. Yeah, I don't think he should go to jail, but that's him straddling the fence. It's so freaking weird, but that's the black code. You connected to him, and that's the black code. Meanwhile, white code is they're letting the white female cop garbage go who murdered a brother live on camera, Terrence Crutcher. They let them white coward cops go in Louisiana. I mean, just pure cowardice. Just racist cowards. Alton Sterling. All the brothers that I've mentioned are way more important and much more honorable individuals than any single cop from the United States. There's not one cop, not one, who can measure up to the quality of any of these black men who've been murdered by these gutless, pathetic pieces of pale garbage. And they're letting this white Hispanic go who murdered a brother in Minnesota live on camera. But meanwhile, in the black community, Boyce Watkins, again, straddling the fence like he's riding a female bike. Well, I think he did it. I think he raped all the women, but I don't think he should go to jail. Yeah, I think he assaulted them. I don't think he should go to jail, though. Yeah, I think he touched her privates, but I don't think he should go to jail. Yeah, I think he's guilty, but the evidence is flimsy. Yeah, I think he did something. I think he's guilty of something, but, you know, there's not reasonable doubt or something. You know, I think he drugged them all, but I don't think he should go to jail. I think he raped all them white women, but I don't think he should go to jail. Yeah, it just ain't focus, is it? I mean, where's the code? How are we supposed to stay together here? I mean, you can try and lay in, well, you know, he did a lot for black colleges. This is what Boyce Watkins did, but I think he's guilty, though. White people don't even, live on camera, they got evidence that this dude murdered Philando Castile. Live on camera. That Betty Shelby murdered that brother, live on camera. They got the guts to say, not guilty. Straight up, not guilty. I'm just pointing out the weakness that is the black community. Or at least Boyce Watkins types in the black community. Now let's get to Yvette Carnell and Irami. They spending time trying to confuse people about what Bill Cosby did in terms of the Cosby Show and a different world, by the way, when it came to black people. And let me tell you, you two, along with Antonio Moore, are three of the most confused black people when it comes to the data. The more you talk about the Cosby Show, the more you shake out the fact that y'all don't know what the hell you're talking about. A lot of people are chiming in. They saying, hey, I'm from LA, I live in this area. Hey, I'm from New York, I live in this area. But here, I'll give it to you from a Chicago perspective. In Chicago, you guys have said it, it's the most segregated city. I live in Chicago right now. Today, at this minute. And I can tell you like this. It is 2017. And where there are $1.9 million homes in Chicago that are bigger and better than anything that the Cosbys could possibly have in a brownstone in New York. There are homes here in Chicago in that same vicinity that'll cost you $29,000. The difference is where those properties are located. These places are high quality. They're brownstone, but they're around black people. White people don't like to live around black people. And we're going to talk about the data. Antonio Moore, I hope you're listening real good, because I'm trying to help you. Because smart people have smart people problems. Don't look at it from a satellite. Look at it from what people are telling you. Or you can use some of these sites and you can just look and see how much these properties are actually going for. Here's the thing, and this is the only caveat. Stay out of the white community when you do. Investigate in the black communities and you'll get the real prices. The same prices that the Cosbys saw. The same prices that the Huxtables saw. It's okay to get a little education from other black people. And here's the data. White people keep the prices inflated in their area so that there won't be any blacks and Mexicans around them. That's basic racism when it comes to real estate. It's how white supremacy works. Y'all know this. Now, meanwhile, they make sure that the black people and the Hispanic people, basically places where there's low income, they make sure that they're paying higher taxes. And they claim, well, it's because the white people, you know, we have tax attorneys and we will actually contest our taxes and get them lowered, as if the black people aren't contesting their taxes. The only difference is that the white supremacists in charge will probably more than likely not give you any lower percentage when it comes to paying your taxes because you're black and Hispanic. That's bullshit. All right? If we're living under a system of white supremacy, we know that black people are appealing their taxes. That doesn't mean that they're getting their taxes appealed properly. Because this is how the racists in the county assessor's office behave. Well, this is what we came up with, so... And then at that point, you have to decide if you want to sell your house and move. And they know this. So when you hear this, hear the white person and they tip their head to the right, you know, and again, you can hire the best tax attorney. You know, I would suggest you hire a black one, not one from their side, because their side of tax attorneys are just trying to make money for the white side. All right. And make money. I'm saying the same thing. Make money and save money. It's the same thing as making money. In this case. So if you don't have to spend that much on taxes, then you are making money. So you hire a black tax attorney, and no fault to them, because them folks in city government are funny. Funny in terms of being fucking racist. And so when they dip their head to the right, like, well, this is what we came up with, so this is what you're going to have to pay. They don't have an algorithm, because people put forth an algorithm so they can do it properly. Look, this fake ass dude by the name of Barrios is in charge of the county assessor's office. He was presented a program by a bunch of programmers that could even the score when it came to property taxes, and he didn't institute it. It would have made property taxes fair and accurate in the Chicagoland area. So he's on complete bullshit, lying, should not have the job, along with everybody who's supporting him. It's a racket. All right. So anyway, let me just get back to it. All right. It's supposed to be based upon how much your house is worth. So that means that some idiot from the city can come in and say, well, I believe that your property is worth $6 trillion. So you got to pay that tax equivalent to $6 trillion. And it's bullshit. You may have bought the house for $25,000. So the house is worth $25,000. You buy the house for $25,000, it's worth $25,000. Because that's what they're saying when it comes to the white people who buy property up north. They're saying, well, they bought it for $2.2 million. So you got to pay, $2.2 million, in taxes, basically, for where you're at. And so that's what happens, right? And so then they get a tax attorney and they appeal and all that good stuff. But imagine you're a black person. You ain't got a lot of money, but you got enough. But they keep them taxes high, nice and high. So you're paying your mortgage, and your mortgage is funny because you're not going to get the same interest rates as the white person over there. You notice that you have like excellent credit, but for some reason that white person still gets better insurance than you do. They get to pay less in housing insurance, even though they got horrible credit, basically good or mediocre. They get to, get more credit cards and get a higher limit. It has nothing to do with who's more faithful in paying their bills. It's more like who's white. That's it. That's all it comes down to. So you got higher insurance, you got higher car insurance, you got a higher mortgage, and then on top of that, you get higher taxes. And that's how they keep that boot on your neck. That's a little bit of the data. But let's go on. Let's talk about that brownstone. So they're saying that they bought the house in 1984. That's ridiculous. The show started in 1984. Everybody who has kids or grew up knows that before they came about, or before that they can even remember what was going on in the world, that they were home, safe, warm, or whatever, but at least safe. But they don't know how they got there. All right? So the show started in 1984. In Antonio Moore and Yvette's mind, that means they bought the house that year. Nah. That's not how things work. Not when it comes to family. So they had an older daughter who was about 20 years old. All right? Let's say that was the eldest child, about 20. All right? When the show starts. So let's say Claire and Cliff got their shit together. And I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna say they bought the house when the eldest daughter was 10 years old. Now they don't have all the other kids yet. Mama may be pregnant with Denise, but still got the 10-year-old. We'll just bear with me there. So they buy the house in 1974 in a mostly black neighborhood. Maybe some Italians and some Jewish people there, but mostly black neighborhood. And those Italian and Jewish people are just holdouts, who were just left over from all the white flight away from these black people. We know New York went through the jazz era, disco, all that stuff. So 1975, disco is still going on, but about to end. So they buy this house. So Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell expect you to believe that a doctor and lawyer could not possibly afford that house, even though they got those two salaries together. And I'll tell you, the most amazing thing is that there was an African-American woman on Yvette's page that accidentally tripped the whole thing up by mentioning she was confused. She tripped the whole thing up by mentioning these words: that it was impossible for them to afford the house. I mean, the father was, he was in the military, but he was just a jazz musician. And Cliff was in the military also. That's the big trip up. See, I know y'all want to say, well, what's the big deal? But a lot of you military guys know what the big deal is that in 1944, they instituted the GI Bill so that the returning soldiers in World War II would be able to get back on their feet unlike other wars. They'll be able to get back onto their feet, and that they were going to be backed up by the government. And these are going to be called the GI Bill and VA loans. And VA loans was supposed to help these soldiers buy homes, buy businesses, whatever they needed, so they could be functional Americans again. Now, the reason why Yvette and Irami may be confused is because they live in the South. They live in the South. And in the South, a lot of those loans were not honored. But Cliff Huxtable, on the other hand, and his father, they were New Yorkers. Now, we're all talking about fictional characters. In actuality, Cosby came up in Philadelphia, but that's not too far away from New York. It's still northern, all right? It's still part of the original colonies. So up north, returning black soldiers were able to take advantage of their VA loans. So the father was in World War II. The son was in the Navy during peacetime. Episode 311, they did a whole show about it. So think about that. The war ends in 46, 47. All right. So dad was able to get $100,000, up to $100,000, and zero money down. Zero money down. Now, in Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore's discussion about the data, they keep exclaiming that he would have had to put down $143,000. Except that you have no clue about the fact that military get VA loans. They don't have to put anything down because it's backed by the federal government of the United States. So there's the answer to your big mystery to how they were able to afford the home. Is because they did something that is relatively new to most women in the armed forces. Now, I'm not faulting you for not understanding that soldiers get VA loans. And yeah, that means that the female soldiers get VA loans too. I'm not faulting you for it. I mean, women in combat, that is, officially been instituted within the last couple of years. Now, women were in combat. That's how Tammy Duckworth got injured. But it was more of a support role. In other words, flying helicopters and planes and stuff like that, moving materials, that type of thing. But they tried to keep women as much as they could off the front line. And that didn't have anything to do with anything but sexism. All right. Now, even though it's a support role, everybody who is considered a inferior ends up in support role positions until white males. Your problem is white males. Same thing when it comes to black people. We were in support roles too when it came to the military until they realized that, we kind of need more soldiers. They didn't want to teach the black soldiers to fight because they knew that they would have a problem when it came to controlling black people. But they had to anyway. Black people were pushing forward. So they went ahead and admitted defeat, and slowly over time, from World War I all the way up until the Vietnam War, that's when it really hit the fan, that they started to go ahead and make sure that the black soldiers were just as armed and on the front lines as everybody else. So again, this had everything to do with sexism and not that women were strong enough. Obviously, Tammy Duckworth was strong enough. Obviously, she was in a combat situation. Obviously, she was on the front line, and so were so many other women. So that's why you don't know about those VA loans the way males would. But that doesn't negate the fact that Antonio Moore didn't know about those VA loans, but he's talking about the data, and that Irami didn't know about those VA loans, but you're talking about the data. But which is, even more shocking, because smart people have smart people problems, is the fact that when told about this in the comments, you all ignored it. Why you would ignore it is because smart people have smart people problems. So I had a buddy who was in the military. He bought his first home with a VA loan. If you Google it, hey, don't take my word for it. Even like Yvette says, don't take my word for it. Google it. You'll find that today, soldiers get up to not $100,000, not $150,000. And I'm going to say this in reference to one of the things that Yvette said. She said that the house would be worth $7 million today, and how it couldn't be affordable today because he would have to put down $600,000 down today. Not only, once again, you don't have to put any money down when it comes to a VA loan, but the VA loan is up to $424,000. So right there is the price of inflation, and they adjusted for it. They went from 100,000 to 424,000. So maybe you can fit this into your data, even though this is a fictional show. Maybe you can fit that in, and they may be able to explain why certain black people were able to make gains past other black people, even other white people. I'm not mad. I didn't serve, but I'm not mad at those who did. You know, you take a risk. You take a risk with your life by serving. You know, I was cool with computers. You know, I didn't have to be on the front with a computer. I was cool with computers, nice and safe. You know, like Bill Gates. Didn't serve. He was cool with computers, nice and safe. All right. So, looking at these facts, these pieces of data here, it's up to you as black people. And I'm not saying don't listen to Yvette. I'm not saying don't listen to Antonio Moore or Irami. In fact, I find their shows entertaining and enlightening. But just as long as we understand that smart people have smart people problems, and they just may overlook something. You know, ain't nothing wrong with overlooking something. You know, but don't be like Boyce. You know what I mean? Y'all nice and far enough away from Boyce now. Don't be like Boyce. Don't be that. Well, I think he's guilty, but I don't think he should go to jail. I think he's raping them women, but I don't think anything should happen. You know, don't be like that. That's weird. And don't be like, just accept that there are going to be other smart people out here. Accept that. Just because you're speaking on a microphone, just because you got cameras in your face, that doesn't mean that you may not overlook something. And let me tell you, everybody who has military in their family, they'll tell you what I'm saying is 1,000% true. Because they'll tell you how they bought their first home and what they used to get it. But again, I may know more. Antonio Moore probably has 0 members of his family that's military. Irami has 0 members of his family that's military. Yvette has 0 members of her family that's military. Or she's just from the South, so she just don't know. All right? Now, my grandfather served in World War II. My uncle served in Vietnam. My father served during peacetime. I'll say again, my father served during peacetime. My wife's father served during Vietnam. See, we're about the same age. That's why, you know, you can tell what's going on, you know, just by the age of a person. Her grandfather served during World War II. It's just part of the American experience. Her grandfather bought a home with the VA loan. My grandfather bought the home with the VA loan. I don't know what my father did with his money. I never asked my uncle what he did with his money. But if they did, shoot, do what you want to do. That's what the whole point of the VA loan was for. Do what you want to do. You served. You're our heroes. We owe you. Here you go. Backed by the government. 0 money down. Up to $100,000 or up to $424,000. So code. Back to code. Look. Listening to Yvette and Irami talk about Bill Cosby as if he is the reason why black people are impoverished. It doesn't make any sense to me. But maybe I can explain it from this position. And this is something that a lot of black people can grasp on. And I'm sure that white people are going to grasp on this too. But maybe it would have been more acceptable for you, Antonio Moore, Yvette Carnell, and Irami, if Bill Cosby had created a show where at the beginning of the show, instead of him being a doctor and a lawyer, Claire Huxtable was, basically a housewife. And here's the most important part. Cosby, what he would do at the beginning of the show would be a little stand-up comedy routine. And then he would leave from his stand-up comedy, and then he would go home to his big family, and maybe that would have been acceptable and more realistic. But instead, what he did was he made a show that was more relatable to you, but at the same time, have something that you could reach for, give you a template to how you could make it too. He gave you every ingredient: military, education, family, wealth transfers from one generation to the next. It's all in there. And then when you want to complain about, hey, he's not hitting on all the issues. We have a lot going on here. We got student loans. We got debt. We got racism. He and his people created another show called A Different World, where all those political aspects of poverty, everything was in that show. And it came on right after The Cosby Show. Right after The Cosby Show. Same time period. He wasn't late. He wasn't lax. None of them were. They put the time in, they put it on paper, and they delivered the money. After the shows was over, they delivered more money to black people. This wasn't a situation where a black person was given just millions and millions of dollars like Dr. Dre did to a white institution. He gave it to black institutions and to black people. And the same thing with Camille. She did the same thing. That's what they did with their money. So yeah, a stand-up comedy routine at the beginning of every show. Cute, huh? Fun, huh? That's Seinfeld, ain't it? But y'all was happy with Seinfeld. Did you see any white people complaining about Seinfeld? Saying how unrealistic it was for all his friends to be working and he didn't have to work? Would you relate it to The Cosby Show? Because that's what his true life was. True life for a lot of black people. Seriously though. Out of all the things in the world, Bill Cosby can be to blame for several things, okay? He can be blamed for raising black people's self-esteem. What a horrible man. Yeah, you can blame him for that. Blame him. Be angry at him for making you better people, giving your kids self-esteem. Despicable cause. Fat Albert and the Cosby kids, giving them something to watch other than freaking white characters doing white things in cartoon form. All day, every Saturday. Every day when you came home from school. But you could watch Fat Albert. You can blame him for that. You can also blame him for creating so many doctors and lawyers, Antonio Moore. Blame him for that. I can't go along with this craziness that you all have, man. If you ain't making no money out in LA, Antonio, then move your ass to a different damn city. At least part-time. 6 weeks here, 6 weeks there. 6 months here, 6 months there. Whatever you have to do so you can make you some money. So y'all ain't so damn bitter. I'm not even a fan of Sunny Hostin. But she's in that age where she came up with The Cosby Show. She's in that age where she became a prosecutor. Weren't you a prosecutor at one time too, Antonio Moore? Was it because of The Cosby Show? A lot of your people would love to be lawyers right now, have a law degree. But you don't want to give him that type of praise, do you? Man, we got 2 doctors here, OBGYNs in Chicago. They're on Windy City Live all the time. It's like Idris and Jamil, OBGYNs. How did they become OBGYNs? Could it be because Cliff Huxtable was an OBGYN? That they decided to deliver babies for a living? Because they looked at the way he lived in that brownstone that you all are so upset about? That probably cost him very little money because it was in a black neighborhood? Let's say during that time it was only $200,000. Zero money down for the brownstone because it was in a black neighborhood and white people didn't want to live around black people. That's why the South Side of Chicago is still black, because white people don't want to live around black people like that. Which we find okay. We bring the white people that we want to bring into the black community, not having an infestation of white people. So, Idris and Jamil, they're doing very well, by the way. They ain't broke. Got multiple children because they can afford them, because they decide to deliver babies for a living. Because of Bill Cosby. And on TV all the time, giving baby advice and, pregnancy advice in Chicago. Funny as hell, by the way. Funny as hell. So, I'm sure there are more success stories when it comes to education. So more things that you can blame Bill Cosby for. Educating black people. He did some amazing things. He just didn't tell black people to go to school. A lot of y'all just say, hey, go to school, go to college. He put his money where his mouth was. He gave to Spelman, he gave to Morehouse. Even though those some ungrateful garbage, especially Spelman, some ungrateful garbage ass colleges. But I'll go again. Maybe you upset. But look at the Philando Castile acquittal of this piece of garbage cop. They own code. So I'm saying, what you're doing to Bill Cosby, Yvette and Irami, your anger towards them, it's irrational. During the trial, where do you think they will sit you 3? Yvette, Antonio Irami. Where do you think they will sit you 3? Think they will sit you next to the Cosby family so you can heckle on that side? Or you think they'll sit you on the mostly white side so you can heckle from that end? I can guarantee you're going to be put on the mostly white side. Same thing with Boyce Watkins. It's going to be put on the mostly white side. These white people don't give a damn if they're guilty. They don't give a damn if the camera says they're guilty. They still are calling it for their side. I just want to understand, Tariq, the code, and why this side, because Boyce loves black women. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with him. Well, I'm not, how can I say this? There's nothing wrong with the black women that he loves. There's nothing wrong with the black women that he loves. I'm saying that there's something wrong with the man who can't take a position on something so clear. And why would you play the middle unless you want some white supremacy biscuits? Why would you play the middle like that? Why would you let him play the middle like that? Why would you be like, yeah, he's a cool dude and all this, and he's a good brother, but he don't stand with the code? He's actually going against another black person for God knows what reason. What he gets out of it, I don't know. Maybe it's something from Maven, a buttery butter biscuit from Maven. I don't know. But he getting something. All this, low-key backstabbing is insane. It's stupid. It's irrational. It makes no sense. Against Bill Cosby? Out of all the people in our community to throw under the bus, low-key, fast, smooth, I don't know. Why Bill Cosby? Oh, the pound cake speech? Was really upsetting? Because that had Yvette Carnell up super upset. I'm gonna tell you the truth about that. The black people that he was talking about ain't even thinking about the pound cake speech. They don't give a shit about that. If they cared about an old brother talking about them wearing their pants slung low, they would have pulled them up a long time ago. They don't care about that. If sisters who was producing them shooters cared about, producing too many shooters, they would produce less. They don't care about that pound cake speech. You defending a group of people who ain't even concerned about that. They're concerned about day to day. The hustle to pay rent. Is my venture card working? Are they trying to rob my venture card again? Is the child support payment actually going to be in the account this time? This job fucking sucks. I gotta pay the daycare. I mean, just all types of just day-to-day shit. They're not concerned with Bill Cosby's pound cake speech. They may have been angry for that moment, but they don't carry a torch for it. Not like the way you're acting. It's not that important to any of us. Out of all the people in the black community that should be able to admonish black people, Bill Cosby is certainly one of them. He is certainly one of them. He put the time in. But I'm going to leave you with, I guess, the most valuable piece of information you Negroes can get. And it's actually based upon, I hope the person who dropped this information is listening. Because a long time ago, sometime last year, maybe early this year, I'm not sure, someone posted a comment saying, and I know they didn't give it to y'all, they didn't post it to you, they posted it to the person that they knew that they could trust with this information. Gave it to the Calvary. Calvary, you need to see this. There's a movie that Bill Cosby made. So you think Cosby just doing what he want to do, and he just talking about black people real bad, and we should let white supremacy lynch him, based upon giving us directives, us black people directives. Out of all the things that get you so upset, Yvette, is a black man giving black people, a black man in his 70s giving black people directives. Wow. So let me open your eyes, Yvette, Antonio, and Irami. Because you all are always confused, but I think Calvary just sees the world and people differently than you. I don't know, maybe it's because I've been on this earth longer, or maybe I was more observant, or maybe I watch way more PBS than all three of you combined. But I do understand people. And so does Bill Cosby. In this movie was something so peculiar, so strange and so outrageous that it would shock all of us. It was something that Bill Cosby and just a few others saw and understood that was too horrible to just be easily ignored. But he knew that it was going to take a certain level of correction in order to fix this within the black community. Something that white supremacy had done to black people. Something that you want to throw away. A man so responsible for his people that he would set a path to fix something that some other assholes broke. And it all came down to a bunch of drawings. Bunch of crayon drawing. Here, why don't you take a look for yourself?
Did you know in some states it used to be against the law to teach blacks to read or write? Nowadays, we're getting these integrated schoolrooms, and most people think that if we get enough teaching and enough jobs, everything is going to take care of itself. But there is a scar of history running right through kids as young as these. It tears you up if you know how to look at drawings kids make, because kids shouldn't know much about history and anything about discrimination. I mean, nobody hates little black kids, but why do some of them cause so much trouble? And if you ask black and white children to draw themselves, or trees, or houses, some strange things happen. We asked some ordinary white kids from ordinary families to make some drawings for us. Like, well, let's call him John. John's white, and we asked him to draw himself. This is John. This is his house, and this is his tree. Then we asked a black kid, let's call him Ralph, to do the same thing. This is Ralph's drawing of himself. This is his tree. Now, why should two kids of the same age draw so differently? Enter the expert. This is Dr. Emmanuel Hammer, psychiatrist specializing in children's therapy.
Well, let me illustrate it for you. Let's take these drawings. No matter what a child draws, he's really picturing himself. Ask a secure child to draw a tree, and he's likely to draw a bountiful, spreading tree. A black child drew this tree, cut off in its growth, stark, bare, ungratified. It works the same way with drawings of people. Normal children, average drawings. The mood is happy, the child feels capable, the drawings are complete, and the arms are developed to emphasize strength. These children were old enough to draw complete figures. The significant fact is what they left out: arms, hands. A child may sense that a situation in life is so powerless that he himself is equivalent to an armless man. My own study reveals that armless people appear 3 times more frequently in the drawings by black children than those by white. The faceless beings suggest that these youngsters not only feel themselves to be less than they might be, they don't even feel themselves to be. The black child who is forced to live in a hostile world may disappear in self-defense. He drifts through life feeling like a shadow. He stops caring, and he stops trying. A child who has this on his mind cannot be a child. A child who has this on his mind could want to burn down cities when he gets older.
The whole confusion was summed up by a black 9-year-old in these 2 paintings. This is a 9-year-old boy draws a white man, Robin Hood maybe. And this is how the same boy draws himself. And this is the consequence of deformed history.
Linda, close the curtains. Brian, lower the screen. Bonnie, lights, please.
In the past 50 years, 33,000 feature films have been made in the United States, and about 6,000 of them have had parts for black actors. For the most part, the black portraits have been drawn by white writers, white producers, and white directors for a white audience. Most black parts were the way white Americans wanted them to be. The black male was consistently shown as nobody, nothing. He had no qualities that could be admired by any man, or more particularly, any woman.
When the sun goes down, the tide goes down, the dark gather round and they all begin to shout, hey, hey, Uncle Doug is free.
White people didn't like to think much about them. Sort of like a relative you got in a rest home. I mean, happy darkies, dancing and singing was all they wanted to hear about. Being good Christians, the whites out front liked to think the blacks out back were kind of happy. Uncle Tom's Cabin was one of the first movies made that tried to say anything about black people. Uncle Tom was changed a little each time it was put on the stage, and all the parts were played by white actors, and by the time they made a movie of it in 1903, Uncle Tom was just the white man's idea of a good nigger. You might say he was what H. Rap Brown ain't. They made this picture 5 times. By the time they finished with it, Mickey Rooney could have played Uncle Tom. Minstrel shows started as the black man's entertainment for himself and the plantation owners. When they were filmed, though, they were done by a white cast. You figure that out. They were done as sort of a joke, and the black entertainer couldn't even get a job making fun of himself.
This is the same man. Younger, but this is who Bill Cosby truly is. And now you can understand what he actually did for his people and what you, Antonio Moore, Yvette Carnell, and Irami, and Boyce Watkins are not doing for yours. Hopefully this has changed your minds. But if it hasn't, it's okay. Take it as a grain of salt, like you did Bill Cosby and everything he's done for you. Bill Cosby's legacy is our legacy. And to the naysayers, fuck you forever. But you have received the information. Again, smart people have smart people problems. This is the Cavalry. I'm out. You've been watching the Cavalry.